Hey folks, welcome. This is Gently Chaotic Knits and my name is Emily, and if you are new and you don't know what this is just a little video podcast series where I chat about what I've mostly been knitting, but sometimes I talk about what I've been crocheting and spinning and some other crafts as well. And I am back from some travel. I have been traveling for about 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm back and I am ready to share everything that I worked on while I was away. So in case you are new and don't know what's up, I am in a little bit of a new location. I recorded last time, which was about a month ago, from this location. This is actually my parents' house in Oklahoma. And we are here kind of, I guess it's not really temporarily or permanently. We are, my husband and I are actually traveling a ton, pretty much full time for the next like 6 to 8 months-ish. And in between our travels, we are staying with family. And so I am in between travels right now. And so that's why I'm back here in Oklahoma at my parents' house. And you may also hear / see some furry friends during this episode. We've got 3 dogs and 1 cat in the house, so we'll see if they want to come and be involved. They were a little bit last episode, so we'll see how involved they want to be this time. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm not going to talk a ton about the travel itself specifically during this episode. I probably will a little bit at the end. But if you are curious about our adventures, I've been doing like very brief, just like photos on Instagram. And we also have a travel newsletter. So like an email newsletter where we are sharing with like friends and family about what we've been up to during our travel. So if you're interested in that, I'll link it below. But I'm going to try to just, talk about the knitting and stuff and what I was working on during this time. So let's get started. I was really unsure how much time I would have to knit and crochet during travels. Just, it's hard to know, like I knew there would be heavy knitting times, like long flights, and we had some like longer car drives and stuff like that as well. But then day to day, there may not be as much because we're out kind of doing things, activities and stuff. So I really didn't know like how much I was gonna end up knitting during this time period. And I would say it was probably a little bit more than I expected. There were times during this trip that I was nervous that I was gonna run out of like knitting, of yarn or whatever. I didn't end up running out. I was totally good, but I may keep that in mind for future travels. Like maybe it's a good idea to bring a little more yarn than I did for this trip. But that reminds me, if you have other questions about like our travel and this like travel time, I answered a ton of questions on my last podcast episode and just like gave an overview of like what we're doing and what's going on. So if you have questions about that, please head over to that video. And thank you so much to everyone who had like really nice and positive things to say about this. This is like a really big jump for us and we're really excited, and I just loved all the kindness that I saw from folks. So thank you so much for that. So anyway, let me start quickly by sharing what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing the Slanty stripes, which is a pattern by me. And it is still quite warm here in Oklahoma. Today is Friday, September 29th. And it is still quite warm. I think the highs are still up in the 90s Fahrenheit. So I am still wearing this top as a tank, but was just thinking this morning about transitioning this one for fall in the Northern Hemisphere and doing it as a vest. I love it as a vest as well, but I will link it below. You can find like the pattern through my website, or like you can find it for sale on Ravelry. I used for this one just a variety of Woolberry Fiberco colors. The main color is mine from their Under the Sea collection, and I don't remember all the contrast colors off the top of my head. I think I got some of them from La Mercerie from a update that we had at La Mercerie. I think the yellow one and the like rusty one, and then one of these was from like a mini set. I don't know. I got them from a variety of things, and they're actually a mix of different bases as well, all figuring weight. But yeah, this is a favorite of mine. I really like the kind of boxy fit, and I'm looking forward to wearing it as a vest as well as it gets a little bit cooler. So let's talk about what I worked on. I did take some notes before starting today because I knew I was going to forget something. I do actually have a finished object, and I have like a pile of things here, and we'll see if I can actually find it. Okay, here it is. So a while ago, I finished my first handspun sock, and I took the yarn and like needles to make the second one on my trip, and I finished the second one. So I have both of my handspun socks. They look crazy right now. They look so long. They look like they would never fit my feet, but they actually do. So let me take a step back. The pattern I used is the DRK Everyday Socks by Andrea Mowry. It was my first time knitting this sock pattern, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I definitely think I will knit this pattern again. It's a toe-up sock, and generally, I'm going to be honest, I think that knitting this pattern has kind of changed my perspective on my preferred sock knitting method. Previously, if you'd asked me like, oh, what's your favorite way to knit socks? I would say I like to knit them cuff down, and I like to knit them with the small circular needles, like 9-inch circulars. And after knitting these socks, I found it really enjoyable to knit them toe up, and I also found it really enjoyable to knit them magic loop. And I think that might be my preferred way from now on. Toe up versus cuff down, I don't think I have a strong preference. I do think that I prefer magic loop now. And it's really interesting because I wouldn't say I was like anti-magic loop, but I was definitely like, I prefer doing the small circulars. And I think that's still true for like sleeves of sweaters and stuff. I think I would still prefer doing the small circulars. But for socks at least, I think I might prefer doing magic loop. I'm not sure. It's close, and like I would be fine doing it either way. But anyway, so I knit these toe up, and I used this is my first project using my handspun yarn. I started spinning earlier this year, and I have spun like quite a lot, not quite a lot, but like several skeins of yarn that are like usable that I can use. Could have started projects with, but I just, like, I don't know, I tried starting a hat, and then it didn't work out the way that I wanted to, and then other stuff got in the way, and so I ended up just like not casting on for a while, and then finally I spun this sock yarn. So it's a 3-ply, I did a fractal, but at the end I ran out of one, so it's a 3-ply, so I had 3 bobbins, and then the way that I spun them, I did like a 1, 2, 4 fractal. If this doesn't make sense to you, that's totally fine if you're not a spinner. But essentially that just means like the color change is like slow on one and like medium and fast on the other, whatever. It doesn't, anyway, I ran out of one of my bobbins way quicker than the others, and so actually you can tell this part, like this blue-green toe of this one sock is like not really the fractal. It's just kind of like the same part of the color that I like plied together. And so like I'm trying to decide if it bothers me or not. I don't think that it does. Like it's basically, you know, the socks are essentially like yellowy green with like different areas and everything, but there's just this one like blue toe. But it's fine. I think it's fine. I'm happy with the way that it turned out. And it's actually funny because I don't have the ball with me, I don't think. But I got to another kind of blue section like right at the end of my second sock, and I was kind of hoping that it would appear at the cuff of the second sock, so then it would be like a blue section on the toe of one and then a blue section on the cuff of the other, and I thought that would be really cute, but I didn't quite make it. I mean, the end like is kind of blue, but not as blue as this toe. Anyway, I feel like I'm getting sidetracked. I was saying that as soon as I finished the sock yarn, I was like, I really want to cast these on right away because I was really excited about them. And I knit the first sock really quickly, and then I had other stuff going on. We had lots of other stuff going on in like our personal lives, and I had other projects to work on, and so I kind of stalled out. But then I cast on and knit the second sock on this trip in like 3 days or something. I mean, it was really quick. I knit it really, really quickly. And yeah, just like during drives and stuff, I and even kind of, I had it in my bag with me. So like even if we were walking around or we were in between activities or we were sitting down and like waiting for a meal or whatever, I just like put some rows in. And so I finished it, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I haven't blocked it yet. I actually don't know where my sock blockers are. Unfortunately, we have a storage unit that has a lot of our stuff in it, and I tried to sort through like my yarn and my knitting stuff so that I would have everything I needed at like our family's houses, but I think I left my sock blockers in storage. So we need to go to the storage unit anyway. I may look for them when we go there, but it's gonna be a mess to find them. Anyway, I haven't blocked them yet, and they don't look like anything. They don't look like socks like right now. So I'm gonna put them on my feet and just like hold my feet up so that you can see them a little bit better. But let me tell you more information about these. I knit the size women's small, which is actually based on the measurements that Andrea Mowry lists in the pattern. That is like smaller than I would do for the like my foot size, but I know that my gauge tends to be pretty loose, so I mean I didn't really swatch for this because it's a sock. Like, I don't know, I didn't really swatch for it, but I knew that my gauge was pretty loose, and so I ended up actually just casting on that size and hoping that like it would work out. And it's honestly like a touch on the tight side, but my socks always end up too loose, and so I'm actually not mad that they're a little bit on the tight side. And I'm hoping that like once I block them, they'll relax a little bit. And it's hard because like I think that my Handspun is a fingering weight yarn, but it's like it could be a little bit I mean, I don't know that for sure, right? So it could be a little bit off, so it was hard to know like what my gauge was going to be like, but I think I picked the right size. I maybe could have gone like one size up and it would be okay because the ribbing does cinch it in quite a bit, but they fit, and so I'm happy with it. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure the best way to do this. I'll just kind of hold them up. There's one. This is the one I just finished. I don't know. Maybe I can just take the camera and like point it at them. Here's my, I don't know the best way to do that. There. Can you kind of see them? Here they are. You can see that I have my camera was up on a music stand. This is the bottom of it. But yeah, this is what they look like. And I love them. I feel like they turned out really cute. Let me get it back, turn around. There we go. I think they turned out really cute. I'm really, really proud of the yarn, and this is my first Handspun project, and it's finished. And I love it, and I can't wait to wear them all the time. I think I have a pair of like brown Birkenstocks that I think these are gonna be perfect with. It's just gonna be the very best. So I'm very excited to wear these. They feel like they have a really great fall vibe as well. And yeah, I think that's all. Oh, I used a US size 0 needle. Of course, my gauge is loose. I always use a 0 needle for socks. I've even considered getting a smaller needle, like a 00 needle or a 000 needle to try for socks, just because my socks were always turning out too big, but these socks I don't think are too big. So here they are. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about them. I may leave them on while I do the rest of the episode. So that is my only finished object. I have a half finished object as well. So in addition to taking my handspun socks on our travel, I also brought, I hope I have this in this bag. I also brought a pair of socks that I've been knitting kind of on and off for a while for my husband, and I finished the first one. So here it is. This is the finished sock, and I am very happy with how it turned out. I had him try it on and it fits as well. I think that I'm hoping I'm not overcorrecting. I have often, for both myself and for my husband and pretty much everyone I think I knit socks for, they end up too big because my gauge is so loose and it's really hard for me to knit them small enough. And so I did fewer stitches on this sock than I normally do for my husband in a hope that they would not be too big. And they're definitely on the snugger side as well. I think they're okay. Like, he could get them on and didn't say they were uncomfortable or anything, but I do think they're definitely on the snugger side. But anyway, let me tell you about the socks. So this yarn is Ovis, etc. Igneae is the name of the base. It is a wool and ramie and silk blend. Ramie is a plant fiber, kind of similar to nettle. And this colorway I think is called Confetti Charcoal. I got this from La Mercerie, and it is just a really fun dark gray with the fun little white speckles on it. I did not use a pattern for this. I just kind of, I just like winged it. I did these top down, and I did a 1x1 rib for the cuff, and then I switched to a 3x1 rib for the leg. I did a pretty standard slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, and then I just did the rib on the top of the sock for the foot, and that's it. And let's see, what else do I have to say about these? I did 64 stitches, which, like, my husband has like pretty large feet, so 64 stitches is actually less than I normally would do for someone with his size of feet. But yeah, I think it turned out good. And then again, I used a US size 0 needle. I actually started these on small circulars. So I had a 9-inch circular US 0 needle that was actually like a wood or bamboo. And I wanted to bring that because I thought for flights and stuff, the wooden needles were less likely to get flagged when I was going through security. So I had those, and for like the first part of the trip, everything was fine. And then like halfway through the trip, I put the project in this little bag, and then I stuffed the bag in my backpack, and then when I opened it and pulled it out, one of the tips had just snapped. So luckily I had another sock needle with me, but it was this 32-inch Chowgu, like US size 0, that I use for like magic loop. And so I was really nervous for flights and stuff. Like, this feels like the most menacing needle you could possibly have, like the most likely to get flagged by security. And I just have like a lot of anxiety about that too. I have had needles get taken through like at security before, and it was just the worst, and I hated it. And so I try to do everything I can to avoid that now. And so I was just really nervous about these. That's why I preferred having the little wooden ones, and I didn't have any trouble with them going through security, but I was really nervous about these ones. And so I ended up just like putting them in my checked bag. So I wasn't able to work on this project on flights, like some of the later flights, because I just had this metal needle, and I put the needle in my checked bag so that I wouldn't have that. It was honestly more about just like the stress and the anxiety about going through security with it. So anyway, this doesn't really matter, but luckily I had another needle, and so I was able to finish this sock, and then I cast on the second one, kind of like on our last day of the trip. At that point, we were back in the US. We actually, on our way back from our travel, we flew back into Atlanta, and then we ended up staying a day in Atlanta and catching the Atlanta Braves game that night because my husband and I are both really big baseball fans, and we love visiting new baseball stadiums, and that was a stadium we hadn't ever been to. So we stayed one night in Atlanta, and so that was when I cast on the second sock. And I have way less fear about taking knitting needles through security for like domestic flights, for flights in the United States, because I've done that tons of times and I've never had an issue. And so I did just go ahead and take these needles with me on that flight. And so I cast on the second sock, and just the flight from Atlanta to Oklahoma City. I feel like that was kind of confusing, but anyway, so I cast these on just like a couple days ago, and then have just been working on them a little bit on the flight. And then also like yesterday, I went with my husband and my dad and my brother to go, like they really like to play disc golf. And so I went and walked around with them, and I did some knitting while they were playing disc golf. So yeah, this is the second sock, and this is my progress so far. I'm a little nervous. Sorry that I know the shadows in the light are a little bit weird. I'm only getting light from one side, and hopefully y'all can see everything properly, but I'm a little nervous my gauge will be different just because I did most of this sock on the small circulars and wooden needles, and this one I'm doing the whole sock on magic loop and metal needles. So I'm hopeful that like it won't be too different. I think this one is like a little bit looser than this one, but they may be I think they're similar enough that it's like not going to be a problem. But yeah, and then I will keep working on this, and we'll probably take it as a travel project for my next trip. I always like to have a sock project just to like have in my bag all the time for when we go places, and it's great for when we're like traveling and stuff too, because then I'll always carry like a bag with me as we go and like do things, as we're like visiting cities and walking around and stuff. And so I just will keep a little sock project in my bag with me. So this will probably be that project until I finish it. So I feel like I'm really, really long-winded today, but we'll see what I can get through in a reasonable amount of time. So that is my half finished object, and that's it for things I finished. Everything else is in progress, and I have made quite a bit of progress on some projects that I want to share. So first up, I will share, well, I guess I can quickly just show you my dad sweater I'm making for my sister. It is basically in the exact same spot as it was last time y'all saw it, because I did not take this one on my travels with me, and I really need to get a move on because next up we are going to visit my sister, and I need this to be done by the time I leave her so that I can leave the sweater with her. But I did, this is Dad's sweater by me. The yarn is Corrie worsted in the colorway Lichen, and it's just gorgeous. I love this color. I think I said before, like, I don't know that I would have picked this color myself, but I'm so glad that my sister did, because I think it's really beautiful and I'm really happy to be working with it. But I had finished the body shortly before we left on our travels, and yesterday I just like picked up the stitches around the sleeve and started doing the short rows for the sleeve cap. So that's where I'm at on that one. I'm knitting the standard shoulder size 2 and using a US 6 needle for this one. Okay, other projects, other garment projects, other works in progress. I have made a ton of progress on my Boucle Cumulus blouse. So this is the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit that I am knitting in Explorer Knits Boucle DK in the colorway Pollen that I got from their National Parks update. And I am almost done. I'm so close to being done. This was my big sweater project that I took with me on this trip. And I think I talked about this last time, but I can do a quick like reminder or recap. My plan for these longer trips is to take a sweater project to be my like main knitting for that trip. and basically bring it at the very beginning. So either like cast on the trip or like have just cast on, and work on that sweater project throughout the trip. And so that's what I did with this one. I had just cast on and took this with me, and I am pretty much done. So this is actually blocked. It's not done yet. I did block it. This is the size small, or the smallest size 1. It is actually, my gauge is quite a bit off, I think. I have measurements, I would say, that are closer to like the size 2, or maybe even in between the size 2 and 3. It is quite a bit larger than, not that I was expecting. Like, I knew it was going to be bigger than the size 1, but it's quite large. I blocked it out, and I have about, I think, a 40-inch bust circumference, and I would not want it to be any bigger than that. I was actually quite nervous, so I blocked this generously for length. So it was actually kind of bigger width-wise, and when I blocked it, I pulled it really hard, like lengthwise, to get it to be like narrower and longer. But the good news about that is that that did result in me like not needing to knit as much for it, because it was like a lot shorter. And then when I blocked it, I like really stretched it. So anyway, I am using a size, I think I'm using a size 5 needle. I'm pretty sure the pattern calls for a 7. I'm using a 5. I'm kind of feeling like I should have gone down 1 more needle size as well, but it's okay. Like, I'm really happy with the fabric. The fabric is so drapey, and this is so cozy, and I'm going to just toss it on so that you guys can see. It's not done because I still have to do the edgings, like the I-cord edgings and the bind-offs on the body and on both sleeves. I purposefully blocked it before doing that because I wanted to see if I needed to add additional length or if I needed to pull back additional length, because I knew I was going to be blocking it so much for length that I was unsure. I didn't want to go ahead and do the bind-offs because I knew I might end up adding a little bit more. But let me kind of sit up here so you can see it. I'm really happy with it. It is like, it's definitely oversized. It's very drapey, cozy, large, but I really like it. I think it's really fun. I think for the body, I'm happy with the length. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the stitches back on the needle and just do the I-cord bind off. And I think the length is really good. So you can see kind of like, here's my pants. I really like to do like a little tuck in the front, and I think that's perfect length for that. Very cute. And for the sleeves, I'm thinking I might do just like a touch longer. I don't like the sleeves to go all the way down to my hands. I really like kind of bracelet length sleeves. So I could probably just go ahead and do the bind off here, but I think I want just a touch longer. So I'll probably do like maybe 4 or 5 more rows, maybe just 4 more rows, and then do the I-cord, because the I-cord will give it a little bit of length as well. And then there's also supposed to be an I-cord. I actually really like these together. Like, this is cute. I really like this. Wow, maybe I should plan to wear these together. Anyway, especially because, okay, sorry, I also forgot to say, well, I didn't forget, anyway, I am knitting this project along with my friend Maya for our match along as well, and we are going to Rhinebeck together at the end of next month, and are hoping to have these finished and so that we can wear them together at Rhinebeck. But what was I going to say? I completely lost my train of thought. I don't know. Anyway, the neckline, like the neck hole here, is also supposed to have an I-cord bind off. Like it's like an applied I-cord. Like you go around and you pick up the stitches and then you do an I-cord bind off all the way around. It's supposed to have an I-cord here. And I was unsure whether I was going to add that or not, because I think with the boucle especially, like I liked the way that this edging looked. Let me kind of scoot up here. So I feel like it looks fine, but when I blocked it, because I was stretching it so much, the V-neck is just really, it's quite wide and it's also quite low. And so I think that adding the I-cord will just like cinch it in a little bit and maybe pull it up a little bit so that the neckline will be more similar to this one here, which I really like the neckline of this one. So I think it'll pull it in. Although if I'm gonna wear these together, I kind of like it like this because you can just get like a little peek of slanty stripes through. I don't know. I don't love that these like yellows are just like a little bit different. I don't know. We'll see. All things to consider later, although I do really need to finish this up. I'm hoping to finish this in the next couple of days. So I'm trying to decide whether I'll reblock it or not. Since I already blocked it, I'm wondering if it's worth it because I'm just gonna do like 4 rows and then I-cords on the sleeves. I'm just gonna do the I-cord on the body and then I'm gonna probably do the I-cord on the neckline as well. Is it worth blocking it again? Probably not, right? We'll see how like weird the 4 rows at the end of the sleeve look. I feel like that would be the biggest reason to do it. The I-cords, I feel like I don't need to block for the I-cords, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so I basically knit this project during my trip. And it was a great one to have because it was just plain stockinettes. I got through the yoke mostly on like our first couple flights. So as we were headed to Romania, I got through most of the yoke, and that was the part with like the increases and the raglan, and it was knit flat and stuff for a while until I joined at the V. And so that was the part where I had to pay the most attention. But then for the most part, I was just like knitting the body, knitting the sleeves, easy peasy, like really not, it was a great travel project, I think. So is there anything else I need to say about this? This color I love. I'm so in love with this color. So good. I'm using way less yarn than I expected to. So these are my 2nd and 3rd balls. I have them attached because I still have, like, since I haven't done the I-cord yet, I didn't want to break the yarn. So I have, this one is attached to the body and this one is actually attached to both sleeves. I did center pull for one sleeve and I did outside pull for the other. So I have both of these, and these are my 2nd and 3rd balls. I haven't even cracked into I got 4 balls of yarn for this, or 4 skeins of yarn for this. I haven't even cracked into the 4th one. I'm like really using less yarn than I expected. I don't know if it's just because my gauge is off. I'm not sure, but this project I think is going to use less than 3 skeins of yarn for my size. And maybe that's a gauge thing, but that is dangerous for me to have in my mind. Oh, you can just get 3 skeins of boucle and you can make a cumulus. And it's like oversized fit on me as well. Like if I actually did a smaller needle and got like a closer fit, I mean, I know I would still use 3 skeins. I wouldn't get down to 2, but it would use even less yarn. So I don't know, that was really surprising to me. I expected it to use more. I think it's just knit at a really loose gauge and it doesn't look like, the fabric doesn't look see-through or mesh because it's boucle. Like the boucle kind of like fills in the holes, but it's, yeah, it's like quite a loose gauge. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but anyway, and I'll give you another close-up of the yarn because it's so nice and pretty. And yeah. So that is where a lot of my knitting time went, but I also spent quite a lot. I would leave this on because I was actually a little bit chilly inside, but I have the balls attached to me and it's just like, I feel like I'm asking for a tangled mess if I leave it on, so. Okay, whoa. Okay. Yeah, that I will deal with later. That is just asking to get tangled. The other thing that I took with me on my trip that I spent quite a lot of time on is my crochet vest. So this is also a match-along project. I am knitting this along with my friend Maya and also my friend Nikki, who taught us how to crochet and has made this project before, and it was just so cute that Maya and I were like, we have to have it. So it's a V-neck, I guess I'm really only doing v-necks right now. It's a v-neck crocheted vest, and it's a little wrinkly because it was folded up in my bag, and also because I think my fabric is quite dense. Because while I'm a loose knitter, I have learned that I am a tight crocheter. So, but I finished the front piece. So here it is. This is, I'll hold it up because this is kind of like what it will look like. And there it is. I'm kind of sit back a little bit. There's supposed to be like a ribbed kind of collar, and I'm wondering if I should leave that off. Like, I'm liking the way that this looks. I may just not do the ribbed edging like around the collar. We'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna also try to stretch it a lot when I block it. Anyway, sorry, I haven't really held this up to my body like this. And so I'm looking in the little screen next to my camera, and I'm thinking about how this is gonna turn out. So the yarn I'm using is, I'm actually holding two yarns together. Let me hold them up here. I am using Ulysse from Rerum Natura. This is the colorway Amarante. It is a sport weight wool, merino wool. And I'm holding it with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Claret. This is a soft silk mohair, a silk and mohair blend, lace weight, and together they are making the most beautiful red colorway, or color rather. And I have just been like cruising on it. I feel like as I work on it more and more, I'm getting faster and faster and more comfortable and more like kind of in the zone crocheting. Because at first crochet was definitely kind of slow and tedious, just like, you know, anything new is. But I feel like I'm definitely getting into a groove. So I finished the front panel. I need to do the back panel. And then I think you like seam them together at the shoulders and the sides. I have not started the back panel yet, so I just finished the front. And it is so wrinkly. I don't know. I think it's just because my fabric is so dense. Like, it's really, especially, you use a smaller size hook at the bottom and then a larger hook above. And oh my gosh, I lost my hook while we were traveling. I think I just left it at one of our hotels. And so then I couldn't work on this for like a week until we could get to a yarn store, and I was able to find another crochet hook, or it was more kind of just like a craft store. Found a crochet hook, and then I was able to start working on it again. But what was I saying? I don't remember what my point was. Anyway, I think this is really cute. I'm really excited about this. I think that it'll be, again, another one that's like really cute to wear as a top, but also I think would be really cute as wearing like as a vest over things and everything. I'm very excited to wear it. I'm hopeful I can finish this before Rhinebeck as well. So we'll see. I'm definitely slower at crochet, but I need to get going on this. Since I'm back in Oklahoma and I'm back with my spinning wheel again, when I'm traveling, I can work on knitting and crochet, but I can't spin at all because I don't have my wheel with me. And so I have been spinning so much since I've been home that I haven't been taking very much time for knitting and crochet. But I really need to get going because I have stuff I need to finish. So as far as like on the horizon, next things to finish, this is my last work in progress. So I had on my list to talk about some future plans as well. So maybe I'll just kind of go through that now. So first up, I need to finish my sweater for my sister because I am leaving her, I think, October 10th. Today is September 29th. Is that what I said? Yeah, September 29th. So at the very latest, I need to finish it by October 10th because that's when I'm leaving her, and I want to leave the sweater with her when I leave. So hopefully I'll have time. like when I'm there visiting, that will be pretty much like all I work on until it's done. So that's first up, is finish that. And then I have my 2 Rhinebeck projects. I have the Rhinebeck and Natural projects. And I don't think I said this in this episode, so hopefully those of you that have watched before know what I'm talking about. The match along is a make along that my friend Maya and I have been hosting. The idea is essentially just to knit or crochet or sew or make something along with a friend, along with someone else. So you, like any craft works, you can make something at the same time. You can make something that someone else previously made. The idea is basically just to match. And that is going to be wrapping up in about a month, a little less than a month, when we are at Rhinebeck is going to be the end of the make along. So still time to cast on. It's super casual. We don't really have rules for like, you have to finish and like whatever, any of that. So feel free to join along if you want, and if not, that's fine too. But there's a hashtag on Instagram that you can use, hashtag matchalong2023. And definitely use the hashtag, tag myself, tag Maya. I'll put her information below as well so that we can see your posts, because we love to. And we love knitting matching things, and we love to see other people knitting matching things as well. So anyway, my Rhinebeck and match along projects are my Cumulus and this crocheted vest. So I really would like to, I need to finish them. I need to finish them by Rhinebeck. So this one I'm actually really hoping I can finish before I leave for my next trip, which is in like 4 days. Because I don't want to have to bring like the balls of yarn and the needles and everything. And I'm so close. I think I have like 1 day of work left on it. So I may actually finish this one first, and then my sweater for my sister. And then I have the crocheted vest. That is next up. I need to finish. And then what's next? So I had some other stuff I want to talk about, other plans that I have. I guess now's a good time to talk about my spinning, because that kind of fits in with this. And I need to take a sip of water. So I mentioned that I've been spinning a ton since being back in Oklahoma. Part of that is because like I missed my spinning when I was away, and I'm really excited to be with my wheel again so that I can spin. But it's also because I have self-imposed spinning deadlines. I am working on spinning for the Cinnabar shawl, which is a shawl pattern by Andrea Mowry. And this is another one that Maya and I are planning to do together. We also have some other spinning friends, Ariel from Airy Knits, which I think I've talked about her video podcast on here before as well, but like you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Ariel just started spinning and is also, I think she already finished her yarn, like spinning her yarn for the Cinnabar shawl as well. So she's gonna knit along with us too. And yeah, so I am behind. Maya and Ariel have both already finished their yarn. I still have some left. So I already spun my first skein of my main color, which is this like really beautiful creamy white color. And I just need to finish, I need at least 1 skein of my contrast color so that I can cast on with Maya at Rhinebeck. So I have been sprinting. I have like a set amount of fiber that I have in my head I need to spin each day so that I can make it in time. When I was here before our first trip, I spun the first bobbin. So I'm doing, let me take a step back. I'm doing the, I'm using for this some mystery yarn or mystery fiber that I got from Hello Yarn. And so I don't even know what like fiber content it is or anything, but it was just some really beautiful colors and like little bits and pieces that I kind of put together. And so this is the first bobbin that I finished before my first trip. I don't know how well you can really see it, but since getting back a couple days ago, I have been spinning on the second bobbin. So here's the second bobbin and what it looks like in the light. I don't know the best place to put this for the light, but there's the second bobbin. So you can see I've got a ways to go. This is actually all the fiber I have left that I need to spin for this project. So I'm hoping I can actually spin the singles. I'm doing a 2-ply, so just 1, 2, and then I'll ply them together. I'm hoping I can finish spinning the singles by tomorrow night, and then on Sunday I can ply it, and then I'm leaving on Tuesday, so hopefully then Sunday night I could soak it, and then it would be dry in time for me to take it with me on my trip so that I can cast on with Maya at Rhinebeck, is the hope. So I've got, this is about just over 2 ounces. So I've been trying to spin 1 ounce per day. So we got back on Wednesday. So I spun 1 ounce on Wednesday. Yesterday I didn't make it. I only spun about ½ ounce, but then I got up this morning and I spun my other ½ ounce from yesterday. So I still have to spin 1 ounce for today. And then I've got another ounce to spin tomorrow. So this is like 2 ounces that I have left. I need to do my 1 ounce for today and my 1 ounce for tomorrow. But anyway, that is my next kind of planned, one of my next planned projects. But I thought it might be fun to talk about what projects I'm going to bring with me on my next trip. So my next trip is going to be, I talked about going to visit my sister. She's in Wisconsin, so we're going to go to Wisconsin for a while. Then we're going to spend some time in like upstate New York in the kind of like Ithaca area around the Finger Lakes for about a week. And we're also going to go to Cooperstown to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And then we are headed to Rhinebeck from there. So we'll go to New York Sheep and Wool Festival. I'm going to go to India Untangled and Woolen Folk. So if you're going to be there and you want to say hi, let me know. I would love to, I hope to see some of you there. And then, yeah, and then we'll head back. So what projects am I going to bring on this trip? This trip in particular, I think is going to be a knitting heavy trip. I think I'm going to have lots of time for knitting. So I want to bring enough projects. The good news is I will have access to yarn while I am there. Like I will be able to get yarn. So if I run out, I'm sure I can find some yarn. And I'll definitely just bring a full needle set, I think, on this trip so that no matter what I find, if I need to cast on something right away, if I run out of yarn or whatever, I will have the needles that I need for that. So anyway, I talked about the projects I have ongoing that I'm going to try to finish. I will have to bring those with me to finish up in the first like week or so of my trip. And then what am I going to knit next? So I'm going to bring, hopefully I'll bring my cinnabar yarn and that'll be ready to cast on, but that won't be till later in the trip. So what am I going to be working on? I probably up until Rhinebeck will be working on the Crochet Vest a lot, but I want to bring some other projects as well. I know I'm working on Nafis's speckled sock, but I'll probably finish that before the end of the trip, and I want to have another sock project. So I am trying to decide between 2 different yarns for my next sock project. So I love a good themed yarn. I love knitting yarns that feel like I am 100% like a seasonal person. I like to eat seasonal foods. I like seasonal scents, like candles in my house. I love for them to be seasonal. I like, of course, like seasonal clothes and like knitting projects and everything. I just really, really like, I don't know, I like for what I'm eating in my environment and everything to like match the season. I don't know, I really like that. So I like that for my knitting projects as well. I like, and like I also love a good theme. Like I love a themed yarn. And so I want to cast on a new pair of socks when I'm like on this trip, which is going to be in October, very fall, very Halloween, spooky vibes. So I have 2 skeins of yarn that I thought would be appropriate for October socks. And I can't decide which one I want to do. So I'll probably put this up on Instagram for like a poll. So if you see this on the day that it's posted, I'm hoping I can post this tomorrow. If you see this on the day that it's posted, then you can hop over to Instagram and you can probably vote in my poll for which of these skeins of yarn I should use for my October socks. But I have this one that I got last year from Igneae, which is a favorite of mine. The colorway is called Ghost, which I thought, of course, would be perfect, seasonally appropriate, good for October. And these speckles, you guys, like, it's so good. It's just really, really good. So this is Ghost, and this is on their 85% merino, 15% nylon. I think it's a 4-ply. Then I also got my first ever skein of Swanky Sock from Magpie Fibers. Right before I left Seattle, we actually started carrying this at La Mercerie. And I just saw this colorway and I had to have it. So this colorway is actually called Ghost Town. So both are ghost themed. So either way, I'll have ghost socks. But like, look at the speckles on this. I mean, I can't go wrong. Either way, it's going to be beautiful and really fun speckledy socks. But this one is definitely much warmer. This one is much cooler. I love them both. I'm maybe like narrowly leaning this one, but I could probably be convinced. This one has cashmere in it, so it's a 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And I've never used Swanky Sock before, and I really want to try it. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I do want to do this one. I want to do them both. But help me decide. You can comment here or hop over to Instagram and vote in my poll because I can't decide which one to bring. So that is a plan for me. And then I also am really craving just doing a pretty simple shawl. I think that would be really great for travel. I like mostly knit garments and I knit socks as well, but I feel like I haven't had a good shawl project in a while. And I know I'm about to cast on Cinnabar, so maybe this is a bad idea. But before I cast on Cinnabar, I kind of want to bring yarn for another shawl project, like a simple shawl project. So the ones, or like, you know, something along those lines. So the two that I'm considering are, I showed this yarn last week. I just got this from La Mercerie. This is the new Sport Nouveau base from La Aimée in the colorway Cocolico. And I'm planning to make a Le bandana with it, which is just a basic triangle bandana. And one of my friends, Tegan, who also works at La Mercerie, she knit the bandana, like the Le bandana pattern, in this yarn as well, in a different color, and it was so cute. And I don't know if I can like really pull off wearing a bandana, but I like to imagine that I could. And so I feel like this would be a really fun, quick project. And I also just like really want to work with this yarn because it feels so good. It's a non-superwash wool. It's non-superwash merino, and it feels really good. And I really, really want to work with it. I also want to buy more of it, but yeah, so that's one option. The other one I'm considering is Emma from Bloom and Create just released a new shawl pattern. I think it's called the Pike Place shawl because she used the Pike Place colorway from Explore Knits, which I'm definitely a fan of. I have used that yarn before as well. I made a top out of it, and the shawl is beautiful. It looks like it's just a really perfect meditative knit. It has just like a fairly simple textured stitch. And I don't know, I really want to make it. I want to. So I was thinking about my stash and thinking about if I had anything that would work for it. It uses 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. And I remembered I bought these from the Rose City Yarn Crawl this last year from Sea Change Fibers. It is actually 100% Cormo. In this really beautiful natural color, which is like a warm gray. And I really like it, and I think it would make a really perfect cozy shawl. I was originally thinking I might make a tee out of this, but considering the fiber content and the way it feels, I think a shawl would honestly be better. So I don't know, maybe I'm leaning toward this now. I don't know. Or maybe I shouldn't do a shawl at all because I'm about to cast on Cinnabar as well. I'm struggling to decide. So we'll see. But I just feel like if I have that, oh, there's one thing that I wanted to show that I forgot to grab, so I'll have to go grab it. But if I have the garments that I'm finishing up and I have a sock project, I want to have something else, and that something else, maybe I should just stick with this other thing that I was planning that I need to go grab. So I'll be right back. Let me go get it. Okay. Whew. Sorry, it's kind of difficult to get in and out of this little corner. So, earlier this year, I cast on the Our sweater by Sari Nordland. A-U-E-R is the spelling there. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but, oh, and also just sneak peek, this is my Aurelia sweater, also by Sari Nordland, that is in hibernation right now. I promise I will come back to it. I know that I will, but maybe I should work on this. But I think for travel and stuff, I would rather have something a little simpler. But I cast on the Our sweater by Sari Nordland, and I kind of want to bring that back and bring it as a project I will work on during this trip. So it's a bottom-up raglan, which I've actually never knit a bottom-up raglan before. I've knit bottom-up garments before, but I've never knit a raglan bottom-up. And here it is. It is definitely going to be nice and big and cozy. I wonder if it's going to be as wide as my Cumulus. Let's see. Not quite. No. It's not going to be as wide. Anyway, sorry, I was holding that up to it. Here it is. I am using 2 yarns held together for this, and these are 2 of my very favorite yarns, and this color is just gorgeous. So this is the Sport Weight base from Life in the Long Grass. I think the colorway name is Barn, but I'm not sure. And then this is the Odang Surrey Alpaca Silk from Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and I think the colorway name for this one is Pretty Shield. I'm holding them together. I love this color. This red is very me. I love this color so much. And so I made quite a bit of progress on it, and then I just pressed pause. I just stalled out on it completely. So I kind of want to pick that back up and bring that as like a project to work on during this trip. And so if I do that, maybe I don't need to bring a shawl, because I'm about to cast on Cinnabar and I probably shouldn't have 2 shawl projects on the needles at the same time. That seems silly. Okay. I think I at least somewhat have convinced myself, because I feel like this is going to be enough knitting, right? But what if I don't have enough? I could just bring, I mean, it's just, if I just bring like either just this skein or just the first skein for this shawl, just as like a reserve, just in case. I won't cast it on ahead of time. I'll just like skein it up, or like ball it up, wind it up, cake it up. So many different words that I can use for that. I'll just cake it up and then bring 1 skein with me just in case, just as like a backup, just in case I knit way more than I'm expecting. I think I'm just scared now. I really don't want to run out, but I guess I will have access to yarn. Yeah, I don't know. I need to make sure I leave enough room in my luggage to bring yarn back, because I know I'm going to be purchasing yarn on this trip especially. So anyway, that's what I have for my plans and what I'm thinking about bringing on this next trip. I do have just a couple of acquisitions, not a ton, honestly, but I will show you those. So I am, in addition to having a sweater project on the needles for each trip that I go on, I also, of course, want to have like a sock project, because it's perfect and small, and all the reasons I already talked about. Like I can just stick it in my bag and everything. And I have just realized that a lot of the places that I'm going during this like travel period that we have planned to go, yarn dyers have done or are doing like collections based on those places. And so I thought it would be really fun to get yarn that is inspired by that location and knit it while I am at that location, if that makes sense. So Explorer Knits just did a Spain collection, and we have plans to go to Spain next year. So I bought a skein of yarn from that. That was a pre-order, so I don't have it yet, so I won't show it to you. But for a pair of socks. But also, there were a couple dyers who were collaborating on a collection inspired by the Scottish Highlands. And Ballyhora was the one who did like the main collection, and her yarns were just beautiful. But she also had Kate from Red Door Fiber Studio did just one colorway as kind of like a collaboration or a part of that collection. And when I saw Kate post this yarn, I knew that I had to have it. I mean, y'all know that I'm like a blue person. But when I saw it, I just knew I had to have it. So I bought this sock set. It is called Old Man of Store, and it's based off of, I don't know exactly where it's located, but I think she was talking about like a hike that they did in Scotland that this was like inspired by, and the photos that she shared were gorgeous. And just like, I fell in love with it, and I knew that I had to have it. So yeah, so I got this sock set, and later next year we are planning to go to Scotland, and so I'll have this yarn to knit into socks while I'm in Scotland, which I just love. I really, really like. So, so there's that. And then the other acquisition I actually got some yarn from Mel from Big Little Yarn Co. from her Spooky Summer collection that she does every year. And I think I talked about this on the podcast. I don't remember if I did or not, but the colors, especially the tonals that Mel did for this collection, were so me. Like, I felt like they were my perfect colors, like exactly the colors that I love the most. So beautiful. I'll try to put a picture up here on the screen of all the tonals, but they're just beautiful. And so I ordered a couple skeins. There's also, she has a yarn base that I haven't really seen anyone else have that I really wanted to try out. It's her organic wool linen fingering base, and so I got 2 skeins of that on the colorway Mutant. And this is what it looks like, again with the blue. Very predictable for me, but here it is. It's gorgeous, and I really like the way that this base feels. We'll have to see how I like it when I'm knitting it up, but I got this for a project that I have planned that we'll see how it comes together. But I also got another little bit of a surprise, not a surprise to me, but something I won't share yet from her in this package for a project that I have upcoming. So we'll see. Yeah, when I get that on the needles, I can't wait. I was so excited to open this package. And the yarn is beautiful, and as always, I just love Mel's yarn, and I just love Mel as well. So beautiful yarn, can't wait to get this on the needles, and I think it will be on my needles sooner rather than later, so really excited about that. And that is it. That's all I have for acquisitions. So that's pretty much, I guess that's like all I have. And I'm not going to talk a ton about my trips and travels and stuff here. It would just be like really long, and also like that's not what this is for. Like, this is for me to talk about my knitting and my crafting and stuff. But this first trip we went to Romania and Greece and Croatia, and then also one day in Atlanta on the way back for a baseball game. So we spent about a week in each place. We went to Romania because one of our friends got married in Romania, and so we went there first. We just spent some time in the capital in Bucharest, and then we also did like a little tour of Transylvania, which was amazing. And then we went to the wedding, and then we went to the Greek islands for a little bit. We went to Santorini and Naxos, and then we spent some time in Athens, Greece. And then after that, we went to Croatia, and we actually had a car in Croatia. I'm just doing like a very quick rundown of our trip. We drove from Dubrovnik is where we flew in, and then we drove along the coast until we got to Split, Croatia. And then we made Split our home base for a while. We did some like stuff on the water, like a boat trip, and just like explored the old town of Split and some other nearby towns. And then we went inland and moved away from the coast a little bit, and we went to a couple of national parks in Croatia. And then we headed home to Atlanta, went to a baseball game, and then we came home. So that was our like high level overview of our time. It was amazing. We had the best time. For the most part, we got really lucky with weather. It was just beautiful outside. We had a little bit of trouble with weather in Croatia. It was raining at the end of our time there. The 2 days that we went to national parks was like pretty rainy, and then like we had a boat, like a day that we were hoping we were going to be able to swim, and it was just like a little cold for us, so we weren't really able to do that. But anyway, otherwise we got really, really lucky with weather. Everything that we saw was beautiful. Everything that we ate was incredible. Everything we learned was amazing. Everything was, it was really good. And I was nervous that traveling for that long I would get really burnt out, and I didn't. I was feeling like really good and excited and high energy the whole time, which I was really pleasantly surprised by. And my husband was just like the most incredible travel partner, and I had the best time just like spending so much time with him. And I don't know, it was really, really good. That's pretty much it. I don't know, I don't feel like I have anything else to say crafting wise. Next up for us, I talked about like we're going to Wisconsin and then New York for our next trip. And so hopefully once I'm back from New York, I will have another update for y'all of hopefully all these things I've finished. And then we'll see what I cast on next. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you do lots of knitting and also watch baseball. It's the last week of the regular season, and then we're going into the playoffs, and it is nerve-wracking for the Mariners, and also my husband is a Marlins fan, and so it's also tight for the Miami Marlins too. So we have been watching baseball and gritting our teeth and waiting to see what happens. So root for the Mariners for me. And yeah, I hope you have a great, I guess I'll say I hope you have a great month, and I'll talk to you next month. Bye.